Well, well, first of all, I got to be very honest. I'm a huge Zeppelin fan. I listen to them all the time. It's one of the few bands that many songs of theirs I will never tire of. One of those is Whiskey Mountain Hop. I can listen to it over and over and over again. Cashmere, there's a bunch of them. But I'm very sensitive to the fact that they were also great rip-off artists. and because of that, I wonder whether... I mean, I look at that and I go, well, that actually sounds like what passes for inspiration. They saw it, or, you know, they saw it, said, that's so interesting. I love the way that looks juxtaposed against each other. This concrete, you know, or granite lion and this tadpole in a jar is an interesting juxtaposition of power. Containment versus one which is seemingly timeless and you know, uncontained. So, I think they, you know, he was probably on the original thought, and he thought, well, I better put this down in the front before I forget it.
The drum code started off as rumor that no one recorded that
he also thought it was really funny to rip off African-Americans who were, you know, blues artists. He thought that was okay, too. Hey, let me ask you, Bill, let's go back to the New Hampshire story about Mystery Hill. One of the theories is Native Americans, right? Isn't that kind of that was the first, I thought that it was prehistoric and that it was a Native American arrangement of stone. Is that not the prevailing theory?
You know, the prevailing theory has changed over the years. Originally, when they found the site, they thought that it was done by farmers more recently, and it was passed off as I can tell you, having been there, like in the solstice, you know what you actually, you feel something when everything lines up. It's kind of touching in a way. But a lot of people think that it's Celtic.
They're not a good Celtic.
That it has ties to the actual stone.
Really Druids and the claim of that. But there's a lot of argument that said that the Druids took over Stonehenge, didn't actually create it. And I think that's an interesting theory, too. They may have formalized it or fixed it or something, but I'll go with, here's what I'll go with, Mystery Hill in New Hampshire. Never having been there. But it's come up before on Coast to Coast, is that it's Celtic, and or that it's prehistory and it's Native American. And I never having been there. I think I saw some of the History Channel about that.
They tried to turn over some new ideas about it and everything. I think mostly people from around here over the years have thought that it was either Celtic or Norse.
Or North. You see, the Vikings, maybe there is something to that, but I guess maybe in my understanding of how the Vikings work, that hasn't been a thing. Like, they don't do a lot when it comes to the solstice and all of that. I could be wrong.
You know, it had something to do with some runes that they had found there.
Oh, then that would be very incriminating, yeah, because Vikings lived it.
But if it could be pre all these people,
right.
And just keep revisiting the same spot and improving, like you said. I mean,
yeah.
I guess it's impossible to know.
You know, it is impossible to know empirically. We'll never know it empirically. But I do think that I'd be curious about the runes. I don't know anything about that with regard to Mystery Hill. I know the hooked X theory that involves some Viking runes and stones in Minnesota that may have also had a Celtic influence. So, yeah, I'll go with that for the time being. And
I like hearing your opinions. I wanted to throw one more thing in, too. I live in the same town as the TikTok pilot.
Oh, really? The TikTok?
The TikTok pilot.
Yeah, not TikTok. Right, the TikTok. I didn't hear you right if you said Tic Tac, I didn't hear it. I heard TikTok. But now I know who you're talking about. Yes. Have you ever spoken to him?
I haven't, but he's done a lot of like local and regional kind of interviews and stuff, and he's really just a very straight-laced, straightforward guy. He's just like, yep, that's what we thought.
Yeah.
Can't explain it. There it is.
Yeah. And I think that's, that speaks to something that somebody said earlier that, they can't release this information because the public would panic. Well, I think they've released the information, they continue to release the information, and the public's not panicking. The public is yawning. So and that's why he keeps saying, all I can tell you is I saw it. That's all I can tell you. He doesn't know what was in it. He doesn't know what it is even. But that tic-tac shaped, as they call it, UAP, that is something which right now the Pentagon says they have no explanation for it. And I accept that. And I don't panic about it at the same time. I can accept it. I can still go to church. I can read the Bible. I can pay my taxes. I can love my neighbors as myself. And I'm not panicking because that exists. Somebody gets out of that thing, and that's a whole nother subject. Somebody stands up and they're on top of Mystery Hill in New Hampshire going, hey, we're over here now. That would be different. That would change my life. That might actually get some public panic going. All right, last half hour. Don't panic in a mass stampede to the phone. We'll try and find a number for you. Let's ride this thing through to dawn. Next, on Coast to Coast AM, this is Ian Pine.
I'm Brian Bruman from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Police in Buena Park are investigating shots fired near Knott's Berry Farm. One person was shot outside the park and has been taken to the hospital. Officers responded to the area just before 9 last night. The park was evacuated and officers surrounded the area. Police say there was no active shooter inside the park. News brought to you by Audible. The CDC says teachers and students won't have to wear masks at school this fall if they're fully vaccinated. But ABC's Andy Field says unvaccinated kids and teachers will still need to keep their masks on and social distance.
These are only recommendations, and each school system must make its own rules. Another problem, most states don't require vaccination proof, so it may be impossible to enforce.
The new CDC guidelines say kids vaccinated or not will still have to wear masks on school buses. SoCal weather from KFI. Heat advisories in effect through the weekend. Temperatures could reach the mid-110s in inland areas. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Bruman.
A weekend-long closure in Fillmore on the westbound side of the 210, Hubbard to the 5. Caltrans has all lanes shut down till Monday morning around 5 o'clock. Use Foothill Boulevard instead. All lanes also closed in Santa Monica on the westbound side of the 10, 4th Street to the McClure Tunnel. That's until around 6 a.m. today. And in Huntington Beach on the northbound side of the 405 Beach Boulevard to Golden West, all lanes shut down as well there till around 6 o'clock. Look for delays from Magnolia. And once you get beyond that, moving well into the Long Beach area. KFI in the sky helps get there faster. I'm Robert Tabucky.
Summer is here, and Audible is ready. Whether it's about road trips or just a return to your daily commute, stream bestsellers, new releases, great originals, and podcasts all in one app. Try it free for 30 days at audible.com.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Aired by the California Broadcasters Association and this station.
Dodgers beat San Francisco tonight, calling all Dodger fans. We're on and miss strike 3.
Add to your bobblehead collection and catch rivalry baseball on Monday, July 19th when the Dodgers face the Giants for the last time at home this regular season.
Strikeout number 7
Walker Bueller. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance and receive a Walker Bueller bobblehead presented by 76. To purchase, visit Dodgers.com/promotion.
Hey, Drew, are you ready for Sit and Sleep's Independence Sale?
I sure am, Dad. But instead of being over the top, let's just tell people our sale is a great time to start sleeping better.
You're right, Drew. Maybe just a little 4th of July music to set the mood?
Sure.
Hit it, fellas!
Dad, you hired a whole marching band?
It's Sit and Sleep's Independence Sale, where you can save $1,000 on select mattresses from Sealy, Beauty Rest, and Kingstown.
That's true, Dad. And to help people declare their independence from sleepless nights, we're taking $500 off Tempur-Breeze mattresses.
Plus, with your good credit, pay 0% financing for 24 months with your minimum monthly payment at 10% down. And save 15% on all Casper mattresses.
And only Sit and Sleep has bed match technology that scientifically recommends the level of support that's right for you. Dad, could you tell the marching band to cool it?
Sorry, once they start marching, they can't stop.
So this Independence Day holiday, trust your sleep to Sit and Sleep.
Contractor license 1047-781.
In the air conditioner marathon, you run till you drop. You can't fix it by just unplugging it and plugging it in again. Your AC is working its heart out for you. Your AC needs some TLC, tender love and care. It needs a ghetto rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. We're going to bring that air conditioner back to life. Ghetto will bring 6 critical systems back to factory specs and wash those outside coals the right way, not the easy way. Your home will feel cooler, but your AC will be working a lot less hard and using a lot less energy. It only costs $129. What only costs $129? Rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. If your rejuvenated system breaks down before the end of the year, I'm going to give you $500 off a new 5-star system. Go! QETTL. We'll keep you cool, but it's hard to spell.
Don't overpay for glasses. Get 2 pairs and a free exam for just $69.95. The exam alone is worth $50. That's not just a better deal. It's America's best. Book your exam online today.
In certain states, eye exams provided by independent optometrists or ophthalmologists. See store for details.
KFI AM 640.
Well, the men don't know, but the little girls, they understand.
To talk to Ian Punnett, call the Wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies toll-free, call 800-618-8255. This is Coast to Coast AM with Ian Punnett.
We're having so much fun with the suggestions from you all on the bumpers at Deacon Punnett. Tomorrow night, we'll be doing a little brain hacking with Dr. Bart Costco, and we'll talk about AI and the future of some of these new technologies, like the ones that Elon Musk has been discussing, and Gertrude the pig, and some of the other experiments that are real life and going on right now in real time. But sometime in the future might also become your reality, and we'll talk about that tomorrow night. First hour guest is going to be Peter Lance, our old friend here on Coast to Coast. He'll give us an update on the latest murder that he solved. If you go to coasttocoastam.com, you'll find that there's an easy link. If you scroll down a little bit under the fold, as we say it, you will see George Norrie's Beyond Belief link, beyondbelief.com. The show is available on all sorts of, sorry, breathed in a bug or something. The show is available on all these different, platforms, or you can just go directly to beyondbelief.com. If you're going to watch it there, oh heck, it's just 99 cents for that first month. Sample that. Have a good time. See George. I think I talked to Tom Danheiser today. He was in an airport going somewhere, so usually that tells me it's either going to be a live George show somewhere or they're taping for Beyond Belief. So there should be some new ones coming up either way. But find out more there. And Beyond Belief also describes the amount of fun I'm having doing open lines. We'll get to your questions, comments, and find out where you're going to take the show next. On Coast to Coast AM, this is Ian Punnett.
Real people, real stories.
I have suffered for years and years, and it was one of those things that I was just willing to try most anything, and so I ordered the carnivora. I had acute eczema and hives. I had been to a minimum of 3 different dermatologists. They always gave me another cream or another ointment to put on that was supposed to help relieve the itching. I have tried every cream and ointment that you can imagine. I promise you it was pretty miserable. So I started taking the carnivora, and at this point, I don't want to ever be without it. I don't want to go back there again.
George here. I promised you yet another fantastic real-life story, and we're talking about the power of waking up your immune system, which, as you just heard, has incredible healing powers. The power of your immune system. Think about that. Perhaps that can be called the human body's fiercest power to heal. Try Carnivora and you'll see for yourself. It's 100% from nature and contains 17 naturally occurring compounds that are non-toxic to every normal cell in your body. Acts synergistically to heal and will attack abnormal cells only. You heard that right. Carnivora will attack abnormal cells only. Isn't it time to protect your immune system? Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivora.com. carnivora.com. Don't wait, call today. Credit Karma Money is a new checking account that lets you win daily instant Karma purchase reimbursements on items up to $5,000. When you make a purchase between July 1st and July 23rd, you'll be entered to win $1 million. Visit creditkarma.com/winmoney. Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Maximum balance and transfer limits apply.
Wildcard line Carlos is in Los Angeles on Coast to Coast AM. Carlos, you're bad. You're nationwide, man.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. Where are you going to take it?
I'm coming up with Tim Morrison. I got a question. Like I heard that his bones were stolen from his grave. I don't know if that's true. If you're
Not true.
That's true. Not true?
Not true, but they do have guards up. And they had the bust and his grave. They had a bust of him that was stolen a couple of times. And the grave was desecrated a couple of times from partiers, they think, but I'd never heard that his bones were stolen. I've never heard that verified.
Oh, okay. And also, I heard earlier you talked about the other woman that she had interest in the States. Was she really a witch? Like how it's portrayed in the movie?
Well, I think he had many. I think there were many girlfriends, and I think that's part of what was at the core of the conflict between him and Pam and why she wanted him out of the United States and was probably perfectly happy with him looking like Fat Elvis, in Paris. I think there's just one. But the movie, I do remember the witch in the movie, and I've never verified. I guess that sounds like it would be true. I just don't know that. I don't want to speak to it without knowing it. But I know the scene, and I know the character you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it sounds like something, and it looks like something that Jim Morrison would have been very attracted to.
Mm-hmm. Cool, man.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping in. Roy is in Greensboro, North Carolina, on Coast to Coast AM, and we'll try to get you, whoever it is, still waiting before the top of the hour. Roy?
Thanks, Ian. Somebody brought up the Doors of Perception was where Jim Morrison got the group name. Aldous Huxley. Interesting cosmic coincidences. Aldous Huxley died on 11/22/63 with JFK, as we all know. Also, C.S. Lewis died that same day. All coincidence.
I did not know that he died that same day.
Yeah, there's a funny book written about it. Not so great, but them having a dialogue in purgatory, the three of them, because they were so kind of opposite religiously, but kind of came from similar backgrounds. And then there's 3 music coincidences for that day, the day Huxley died, Lewis, JFK. The Beatles produced albums with their songs with the Beatles came out in England. It was a big deal, and the assassination.
On the same day. Didn't know that.
Yeah?
No, go ahead.
Also, the iconic Christmas album came out 11/22/63. I think it was called A Christmas Gift for You from Phil Spector. You know, it had all those great Christmas songs.
Right.
It didn't be, and Phil Spector was steamed. I spoke with Ronnie Spector once about this. He was steamed that terrible thing happened, and their album was so happy, you know, kind of put a damper on it. And actually, the album didn't become famous for 10 years until Apple re-released it. I don't know if you're aware of those big songs. Hardly any of them made it big after 63. And then the last coincidence, another music thing, 11/22 is the feast day of Saint Cecilia, who is the patron of music, poetry, and the blind. That's pretty much the bare bones of it.
Well, you know, I'll add only this much, that, you know, Huxley and his experiments with drugs on his own, right? He used mescaline and other things.
LSD, died with LSD needle. His wife gave him a shot, the LSD shot. He wasn't even taking it orally anymore. Yeah.
And but that the title for that, The Doors of Perception, came from William Blake, and so he was inheriting William Blake's line, which then he passes along to the Doors, and I've always loved that about the lineage of that concept. It skips almost 200 years. From creation to implementation is the title for the band. And I didn't know that, I don't know whether C.S. Lewis, I don't know why somebody would say he would be in purgatory, in that he didn't believe in purgatory. And theoretically, as a mere Christian, he would have either been accepted or not, right, upon death. But that's kind of an interesting theory, that he would be having a conversation. I'll have to look that book up. I think I'd like to read that. So I appreciate you jumping in. And anybody else I'll get to coming up just a second. I do want to add, if you've never read it, there's a terrific book, a collection of letters between C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, and they talk a lot about theology, going back and forth on it. And I think that it was a very formative book for me when I read it, because it opened up an understanding of both the work of C.S. Lewis, the creative work of C.S. Lewis, and of Tolkien. And C.S. Lewis just comes off great in those letters. Tolkien, not so much, in my opinion, but C.S. Lewis was brilliant. I can't remember the name of the book, but if you Google it, you'll see letters from, C.S. Lewis and J.R.R., and you'll find it. And it kind of explores their rift a little bit. At one point, they were just, they were separated at birth, and they were just so tight. And then it happens, as it so often does in relationships, and that one was one of them. Roland is in California on Coast to Coast, and we'll get to a couple more, and then we'll probably be done. Roland, go ahead.
Hey, Ian. Great to talk to you. Always love it when you're on.
Thank you.
Glad you're back in the rotation. A couple of callers back, we had the guy with the meteor theory on the Central Valley.
Yeah.
And I wanted to throw out there, overlooking one of California's most, one of the most unique things. We've got something called the Sutter Buttes, which is the smallest mountain range in the world, which happens to land right there in the middle of that path, and doesn't seem to be taken out by it. If it fell off the meteor when it was going, I think there'd be a trail.
I think his theory was it was skipping like a stone a little bit, so maybe it skipped over that. Or maybe that's the formation from it skipping and then going back up into the air.
Yeah, well, and then if that's the case, if his theory was hold true, I would think the mountains in between L.A. and the Central Valley would be a lot bigger because of all the dirt that it pushed up going down.
Yeah, but then you have to remember millions of years of erosion, or thousands of years of erosion anyway. If we're talking about, depending on what
meteor we're talking about and when. That's why, even though they say, and I learned this when I was in Appalachia, that at one point, the mountain range that we call, the Appalachian Mountain Range, that was taller than the Rockies. But it's just worn down over time. And so it will be someday for the Rockies, which is hard to imagine. Yeah. Interesting thoughts, though. Yeah, my wife told me tonight that it's going to be 130 in Death Valley tomorrow. That's insane. I'm so sorry to hear that. My thoughts go out to everybody. We're in that path. I know you're going to be okay, but gosh. East of the Rockies, AC is in Cleveland on Coast to Coast AM. AC?
Hello, Ian. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hope they have a lot of AC in Death Valley for tomorrow, too. But, so, yeah, where are you going to take us, man?
Yes. Well, one of your callers mentioned dinosaurs, and I wanted to bring up that dinosaurs coexisted with man, and the evidence I have for that is in the book of Job.
Nope. Nope. It's not in the Bible. There's no evidence in the Bible that dinosaurs coexisted with men.
Well, I have it right here in the book of Job, chapter 40.
I understand your interpretation of it. If you want to try to believe that, I'm not going to stop you from believing it, but it's not proof. But go ahead, read the line, because I know the line you're talking about.
All right, well, over in Job chapter 40, verse 15, it says, "Behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee," the Lord speaking here to Job, "he eateth grass as an ox." And then it talks about his bones are as strong pieces of brass, and the description here, it says his tail is like a cedar. Well, there's no animal that I know of that has a tail like a cedar, but for the rest of the verses here in chapter 40, he's describing Stegosaurus.
No.
It had bony plates on its back.
No, what he's describing, and this is, I think let me just say, I dispute as a Bible lover, as somebody who spends a lot of time with the Bible, that our English interpretations, our words that we use to represent the Hebrew, are even all that accurate. So if you were to tell me as a Hebrew scholar that you've gone back to the original texts of Job, and you say, aha, it says it's basically describing a Stegosaurus, you'd be able to at least start a conversation with me that I would find interesting. This idea that somehow the behemoth or the Leviathan is some proof of dinosaurs coexisting with man is ludicrous to me. And I will tell you, as a Bible believer, as somebody who believes in the texts, and I believe the Bible should be taken seriously, we have to do exegetical work. The exegetical work is, what is the text actually trying to say, as opposed to eisegetical work, which is, what are we going to put into the text? How do we bring things in our current understanding of them and put them into the text? So I maintain that if there were dinosaurs that coexisted with human beings, if we walked amongst them like the cavemen, which didn't even happen, but if we did, they would have warranted, there would have been mentions about how there are these giant lizards that are going around eating people in the village. There would be mentions of T-Rexes. There would be mentions of, raptors, of any number of different predators. What you do have, and I think this is where the Bible text is really interesting, and what I feel like people do a disservice to when they try to impose an understanding of dinosaurs and put that into the Bible, like it's the Flintstones or something. And when people do that, I feel they miss the beauty of what the original text is talking about. And in Job is a very poetic text. It's structured like a poetic text. So I think we have to give it that credit, that it's not attempting to be a book of science. And I think within the poetry, there's imagery. And the imagery in this case are of monsters, of chaos monsters, of things that people fear. That's totally legit. But to say that, that proves there were dinosaurs. No way. If you want to tell me more about your research into chaos monsters and their use in that text to describe the human condition, or why Job felt like he could stand up to God, which is really what the text is all about. It's about a guy telling God off. Not kowtowing to God, not saying, oh yeah, this is great, thanks. This is about a guy who, despite all of his friends, say, shut up, man. This happened to you. Get over it. Don't challenge God. You'll never win. In effect, they call a truce at the end. And that's the beauty of Job. That's the true story of Job. That's the poetry that should inspire us to say that we have an actual, in my opinion, working relationship with the divine. And that we have every right to speak our minds to the divine. I wrote a whole book about it. And I believe that speaking our minds to the divine is the way to go. And Job is a great example of that. Not of some book of science where it proves that, Job got up in the morning and pulled on the nostrils of a mastodon and took a shower, like Fred. That's where I feel. And I know that you may feel differently on that, but it's not proof. It's an interesting conversation. I hope it was interesting for you anyway. Sparky is in Durham, and then I think we're done on Coast to Coast AM. Sparky?
Hey, Ian. Thanks for taking my call. Great show. I had to call in. I was listening intently in the beginning when you were talking about Dave McGowan.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that you had mentioned about that people could find his work on the internet.
Yep.
But just for those who didn't know, I don't know if you mentioned it and I missed it.
I didn't. Probably go ahead.
Yeah, the book I think that you guys were referring to was Weird Scenes at Laurel Canyon.
Right.
The Dark Heart of the Hippie Dream is the subtitle
right.
for it. But yeah, I think he really he's really broken something open there. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I'll use Dave McGowan's own words. He didn't do the research. He says it in his own work, which is basically he's calling on other people to prove him wrong or right. He has his suppositions, and that's a fair thing. He's starting the postulation on whether what the CIA's involvement was in Laurel Canyon, right? The CIA owned a film studio, and that there was all sorts of things that were going on that are suspicious. And I'm totally down with that conversation. But I don't think he ever proved anything. Do you? What am I missing? What did he prove that you feel like he settled the issue with some sort of certainty?
One of the people that I don't think he mentioned that I found to be kind of interesting that would have fit in with it was Chris Christopherson, who I believe is still alive. He had a very interesting background that was similar to the other ones, and even down to him having a conversation with Johnny Cash where he told Johnny Cash that he got a letter from his parents basically disowning him or something to that extent when he had told them that he had decided to put his military past and his education in, I think it was England,
right.
To study poetry and stuff there.
Well, that's going to have to be where we end it, but 'twas ever thus with parents when it comes time to, hey, I know we were going to do this, but now I'm going to be a rock singer. Thank you. Good point. Worth exploring. And let me see whether I can't do a follow-up show on this in the future. I'd really like to. So thank you for your POV on that. And to everybody, too, who jumped in on open lines. Tomorrow night, we'll do a little brain hacking. Careful. It's our future. And we'll do that with Dr. Bart Costco, among some other topics in tech news. And a first-hour update from Peter Lance. Charlene brought it up earlier tonight, and so I say it not just for her, but for everybody. Deus te amat, and I do too.
Insurance? If you do, then you're probably paying every month for mortgage insurance that you don't need. Your home is likely appreciated in the last year. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if Owning can refi you out of this needless and useless expense. For example, if you have a $400,000 FHA mortgage, you're paying approximately $2,100 a year every year to protect your lender, not you. Does that make any sense? Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING, and you can find out in a few minutes whether Owning can get you out of this useless insurance without cost or obligation. Call Owning at 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
Portions of the following program will be recorded.
Contractor license 1047-781.
In the air conditioner marathon, you run till you drop. You can't fix it by just unplugging it and plugging it in again. Your AC is working its heart out for you. Your AC needs some TLC, tender love and care. It needs a gentle rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. We're going to bring that air conditioner back to life. Gettle will bring 6 critical systems back to factory spec and wash those outside coals the right way, not the easy way. Your home will feel cooler, but your AC will be working a lot less hard and using a lot less air. It only costs $129. What only costs $129? Rejuvenation. Rejuvenation. If your rejuvenated system breaks down before the end of the year, I'm going to give you $500 off a new 5-star system. Go! QETTL. We'll keep you cool, but it's hard to spell.
That's what I'm saying. He's a dilettante. A dilettante's a good word. Now, I know it. I don't have to spell the fancy words I use.
John and Ken, weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI.
Good morning, my early rising friends. I'm Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. Custom home builder, custom home designer. Hey, you know what that means? For the next 2 hours, I'm going to be here with you as a friendly voice in your morning and your personal guide to turning your ordinary house into an extraordinary home. It all gets started in just a couple of minutes, so stay tuned. And welcome home. This is KFI and KOST HD2 Los Angeles, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Prepare to be stimulated. KFI.
KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Drive-by shooting. I'm Claudia Stefani and live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. At least one person has been hurt during a drive-by shooting outside Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park. The shooting happened around 8:40 last night. People at the park ran out and some took shelter in buildings at Knott's. While running out of the park, some people got injured. The city of LA is working to remove homeless camps along the Venice Boardwalk. Crews from the sanitation department worked overnight Thursday into Friday morning to remove tents and debris. People living in the camps are typically given a 24-hour notice, so they have a chance to leave on their own. If not, they're evicted and their items are removed. The councilman, Mike Bond, has extended the warning by a week.